Welcome to our video on human rights, where we will explore the definition of human rights, basic rights, and constitutional rights. Human rights are the basic needs of universality and particularity, of sovereignty and universality, which mean that every individual has the right to be treated with dignity and respect. These rights are universal and inalienable, meaning that apply to every person regardless of their nationality, ethnicity, or any other status. In this video, we will discuss the different types of human rights, including civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights. We will also examine the main legal documents that protect human rights, such as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And yeah, let me introduce the group. From the International Law and Human Rights class, PBI, starting from me, I'm Shri Waldini with salinan number 2106067, and Tiara Jasmine Putri with salinan number 21069110002, and Adelia Pusparini with salinan ID number 2106006, and Shian Chomi with salinan ID number 2106009. Also, Poet Fadila Rika with salinan ID number 210600936, and Salsabila Devitri with salinan ID number 210600939, and the last one is Michael Dawood with 210611100. Keep watching the explanation, which will start from now.
Hello guys, my name is Mutiara Jasmine Putri and I will explain you about human rights. Okay guys, now we will talk about human rights. What is human rights? Human rights are rights we have simply because we exist as human beings that are not granted by any state. These universal rights are inherent to us all regardless of nationality, gender, national of ethnic origin, color, religion, language, or any other status. They range from the most fundamental, the right to live, to those that make life worth living, such as the rights to food, education, work, health, and liberty. Human rights, according to law number 39 of 1999, human rights are a set of rights that are inherent in the nature and existence of human as creator of a God, Almighty, and are his gifts that must be respected, upheld, and protected by the state, law, government, and everyone for the honor and protection of human dignity. In law number 39 of 1999, there are 10 basic rights which are included in human rights, namely 1. Right to live, 2. The right to have a family and continue offspring, 3. The right to self-development, 4. The right to obtain justice, 5. The right to personal freedom, 6. The right to security, 7. The right to welfare, 8. The right to participate in government, 9. Children's right, and 10. Women's right.
Hello, I'm Adelia and I'm here to discussing basic rights, constitutional right definition as a basic needs. Okay, first of all, constitutional rights are basic rights is possessed by every citizen which are accorded with the granted by the constitution in force in their respective countries. Regulated in Chapter XI of the 1145 Constitution concerning of human rights. For example, of the constitution right include the right to life, right to justice, right to personal freedom, the right to sense of security, the right to welfare, to women's rights, and children's rights. Constitutional rights are often equated with the fundamental rights in the Constitution, which are different in each country. Not all constitutional rights, but are identical to human rights. For example, the right to hold government positions. What is mean? Its main universality here is a human rights which are universal, meaning they apply to all human beings without discrimination based on the race, belief, ethnicity, and nation, and many more. And Indonesia is one of the countries that supports of human rights. So we as Indonesian citizens must implement human rights in every day, in every life consequently. Mutual respect and respect for difference is the first step to upholding of human rights.
My name is Zihan and I will explain to you guys the definition of constitutional law. Now we talk about constitutional law. What is it, the definition of constitutional law? The constitution is the highest basic law of a country. Constitutionalism can be defined as an ideology that adheres to the principle that the highest embodiment of law that must be obeyed by all components of the state, including people and government, is the constitution. The Constitution aims to provide limitations and supervision of political power. This goal serves to limit the power of the authorities so that they do not take actions that are detrimental to society at large. Meanwhile, the Constitution functions is to provide limitations on the power of the government, to prevent a government acting arbitrarily so that the rights of the citizens can be guaranteed, protected, and channeled. A country that adheres to constitutionalism is a state system that makes the Constitution the embodiment of the highest law. In this case, Indonesia is a country that adheres to this understanding. As stated in the 1945 Constitution, Article 1, Paragraph 2, which states that sovereignty is in the hands of the people and is implemented according to the Constitution. So now, I will explain what types of the constitutions that exist in Indonesia. In general, constitutions have two types based on their form. The two types of constitutions are 1. Written constitution. A written constitution is a set of basic state rules, state buildings, and state administration that regulate the life of nation within the legal framework of the state. The following are several examples of written constitutions that have been used by the Indonesian state, including 1945 Constitution, Risk Constitution, Provisional Constitution, and the 1945 Constitution results of amendments. Number 2 is unwritten constitution. This can also be called a convention. Convention itself has the meaning of a customary system of state administration that often exists in a country. The following are several examples of written constitution that have been used by the Indonesian state, including the decisions at the MPR are taken and decided based on deliberation and consensus. The President's speech at the DPR plenary session at the August 16, 1945, and the President's speech before the MPR held a session. The President as head of state has prepared materials for the upcoming MPR general session. The last one is customs.
Hello, my name is Salsabila Devitri, and now I will continue explain about international law and human right as a basic need of universality and particularity of sovereign and universality. The intersection between international law, human rights, sovereignty, and universality present a complex and delicate balance that shapes the global political landscape. International law, as a system of rules and principles that govern the interaction between states, provide a framework for maintaining order in the international arena. On the other hand, human rights, embodying the fundamental right and freedom inherent to all human beings, are considered universal and inalienable. In this part, me and my friend Mike will explain the intricate relationship between international law and human rights, emphasizing the role as a basic need in the context of universality and the particularity of sovereign and universality.
Okay, so we are going to talk about the universality of human rights. Human rights, encompassing principles such as freedom, equality, and dignity, are considered universal in nature. They are applicable to all individuals, irrespective of their nationality, ethnicity, religion, or cultural background. The universality of human rights asserts that these fundamental liberties are inherent to every human being, regardless of the socio-political context in which they live. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted by the United Nations in 1948, exemplifies the international consensus of universal applicability of human rights. And then we're going to talk about sovereignty and its particularity. Sovereignty, the principle of supreme authority within a territory, has long been regarded as a foundational element of statehood. It emphasizes a national autonomy and the absence of external interference in its domestic affairs. However, in an interconnected world, the notion of sovereignty has evolved. The principle of non-interference coexists with the responsibility to protect, signifying the international community obligation to intervene when states fail to safeguard their citizens' basic rights, such as during humanitarian crises or mass atrocities.
Back with me again, and now I will continue explain about international law as a balancing act. International law play a pivotal role in mediating the tension between the universality of human rights and the particularity of sovereignty. Treaties, convention, and customary international law create legal obligation for the states, encouraging them to respect and protect human rights. Through international agreement, states voluntarily limit their sovereignty to uphold global standards of human rights. International legal framework provide a platform for a dialogue and diplomacy, allowing states to cooperate, negotiate, and resolve dispute within a structured environment. The fourth, I will explain about human rights as a basic need. Human rights as a basic needs are essential for the well-being and dignity of individuals, and the recognition and protection of this right contribute to social stability, economic development, and international peace. Access to the education, healthcare, freedom of expression, and protection against discrimination are not only fundamental to individual fulfillment, but also crucial for the progress of society. International law, by upholding human rights, ensure that these basic needs are met universally regardless of geopolitical boundaries. So the conclusion about everything that me and my friend Mike explained is the balance between the universality of human rights and the particularity of sovereignty remains a challenge. International law serves as a bridge, facilitating cooperation while upholding the inherent right of individuals worldwide. As the world continues to face new challenges, from global pandemic to climate change, the harmonious coexistence of universal human rights and national sovereignty become increasingly vital. And recognizing human rights as a basic needs underscore the interconnectedness of humanity, emphasizing the importance of collaboration, understanding, and empathy on the global stage.
And yeah, here I'm Fadilika Farza, and I will summarize what my friend have explained before me. In the complex web of international relationship, the balance between the universality of human rights and the particularity of sovereignty remains a challenge. International laws serve as a bright facilitating cooperation while upholding the inherent right of individual worldwide. As the world continues to face the new challenge from global pandemic to climate change to the harmonious coincidence of universal human rights and national sovereignty become interestingly vital. Recognizing human rights as a basic need underscores the interconnected interest of humanity, emphasizing the importance of collaboration, understanding, and empathy on the global stage. That's all the explanation from our group. Thank you and see you again.